Hey there, y'all, and welcome to the kitchen. Today's shortcut supper is a yummy one that I learned straight from my mother-in-law. This is meatloaf shepherd's pie. When we went home last time to do a visit in our hometown in South Carolina, my mother-in-law, my husband's stepmom, made this recipe, and I literally had 3 out of 4 of my children look at me and say, "Mom, we need to have this at home. You need to do a shortcut supper." So this is that, and here we go. So first things first, we're going to get our potatoes started in some water for our shortcut mashed potatoes. We're not peeling our potatoes. They're going to slice and go in, and I'm going to show you a really neat shortcut trick for mashing them that doesn't take quite as much muscle. But just while we're here talking about shortcuts, I want to tell you, if you want to really shortcut this, you can get some of those prepared mashed potatoes. I'd get 2, dump them in a bowl, and you can load them up the way that I do loaded mashed potatoes at the end of this. So that's a really shortcut option that we're going to not do today, but it's a really good choice. So for our potatoes, we just need potatoes and water to start with some salt in it. But in a minute, we're going to get to our meatloaf ingredients. So first thing I've got to do, and it's important to know our order. The first thing I've got to do is get my potatoes started. So I'm going to grab my pot right here, have it beside me so I can chop and drop. Convenience is oh so important whenever you're doing your shortcut suppers, because as long as you can seamlessly get everything on the stove together in the right harmony, it's going to land on the table in the right order. So I'm going to just chop these. Big ones are going to get cut in fourths. Smaller ones are going to get cut in half. The shortcut thing about these potatoes is these are baby potatoes. They're half and half Yukon Gold and red potatoes. And these don't have to be peeled because they're tender. Skins just mash so well the way I'm going to show you. Now, for years and years, I always did my mashed potatoes by hand. I had a potato masher and I would just go to town. But eventually, I was like, you know, my mom used to do this with the hand mixer. I'm going to just see if it's as easy as she acted like it was. And lo and behold, it's so much easier. But I will say, there is a time and place for smashed potatoes. I love to do a good smashed potato that's really rustic and keep it nice and chunky, and I love to do that with a really good steak. But this, for meatloaf, I always love like a really good loaded mashed potato. And that's what we're going to do today. So it's going to be skin on mashed potatoes, but it's going to be a little bit smoother than smashed potatoes. And we're going to treat it the way you would a twice baked potato. We're just going to load it up with all kinds of cheese and butter and sour cream and chives. And oh, it's going to be so good. The mashed potato recipe by itself, you can use any kind of time. You can do it with steak, like I said. It's great with roasted chicken. My kids eat mashed potatoes all the time and love it. We went through a season where we were really like just a potato eating family when the boys were younger. And then my girls really had to warm up to potatoes. I don't know what it was. They would eat fries, and then my youngest went through a season where she wasn't even eating fries. But we're back. We are on the potato train again. The girls have all tried them again, and we are all liking potatoes. I think my boys were like, we're ready to get out of the rice zone. Can we have some potatoes again? And I tried it, and we were ready. So we're back in potato land. Another good thing I like to do with these little baby potatoes is I like to do them just really quickly in the microwave and steam them. You just poke them a little bit. Each one gets a little poke. And you can put them in a bowl covered with a little saran wrap or a lid, and it's a microwave safe bowl. I prefer glass. And then you just steam them till they're cooked just through. And then when I do my steak, I like to take them out to the grill and just hit them on the grill for a few minutes to get them really nice and charred on the outside. I add a little olive oil and extra seasoning when they come off, and just having them so quickly on the grill adds so much flavor. So I love these little skin on guys. I need to do those a little bit smaller. I love these little skin on guys because they're a shortcut option in themselves, because you don't have to do the peeling. You just have to wash and go. So I'm almost to the last of them. This is going to make a pile of potatoes, but I'm almost going to make 2.5 pounds of meatloaf. So it's going to be a pile of meatloaf, and everybody's got to be covered. So we're going to need it. And it's better to have extra than not enough. In my world, I always have leftovers, and a lot of times I intentionally make extra, so we will have leftovers. Okay, that little bad spot, and we'll go over here. Now, I'm going to get my heat on my potatoes, and I'm going to make sure that you understand I don't ever put my potatoes into hot water. We are going to bring this water to temperature with the potatoes already in the pot. That way they will be evenly cooked through, and they will actually be much more evenly tender, and you won't have to worry about one being cooked and not so much another. That's another important reason that we always cut everything almost exactly the same size, so the cook time is even. So I'm going to get some salt. We always salt our cooking water. This is your first and most impressionable opportunity to season your food. So whether this is carrots, potatoes, pasta, rice, chicken, you name it, you need to season the cooking liquid. Okay, so that's going. Let's talk meatloaf. Now, the way that we're going to do this, I've got some meatloaf. I'm going to make the whole meatloaf mix in my big bowl like I normally would, but I'm going to need 2 little precious pie plates for this. So we're going to mix it, and we're going to put it at the bottom in the pie plate, and we're going to start it in the oven. I'm doing 2 little pie plates because we're actually going to share this meal with our neighbors, and I'm going to send 1 pie plate home with them, and the other one's going to be our dinner. So I wanted to show you how cute that is. So for the meatloaf, I need a bowl. And like I said, I've got 2.5 pounds of ground beef here. This is 80/20 ground beef. And I also have a pan that I'm going to get started right here while I'm talking to you on medium-high heat. And I'm going to get a little bit of butter in there. We're just going to do a couple of tablespoons of butter at this point for this. We'll come back to our butter later because we absolutely have to have butter in mashed potatoes. But what I'm going to do here is show you a shortcut ingredient that I love to have on hand. Now, I've taught people how to chop onions 1,000 times, and I'm super fast, but I also teach you how to get dinner on the table quickly. And if chopping onions isn't your thing, this is your thing. These come in the freezer section. This is 1 onion chopped, and it is super easy to just open it and go. If I am using it in meatloaf, I'm going to want my onion cooked a little bit before we get it mixed up. So I'm going to saute it in a little bit of butter. And then once my meatloaf mix has almost gotten to the finish line, these onions will be ready. So I'm going to put the whole onion in my butter, and this is just going to go while I'm doing everything else. Now, this is a really good ingredient to have on hand because it saves well. So if I didn't need a whole onion right here, right now, I could use half of this and use the other half later. I would just reseal the bag and get like a little Ziploc baggie or just even a clip on it and put it right back in the fridge. Okay, so I'm going to start by putting my meat in my bowl. And then we're going to talk about our ingredients that are going to make my meatloaf taste good. So in here we're going to do some Worcestershire sauce. And I said it right. Some garlic powder. A little seasoning salt. Some panko breadcrumbs, but it's whatever breadcrumbs you have on hand. I've even buzzed up saltine crackers in my food processor in a pinch. So you're just going to need some breadcrumbs of some sort. Italian seasoning, oregano also works. Then we're going to do a cup of ketchup. Half of this is for now, and then the rest of this is for later, but we're going to go ahead, get a cup measured so we know we've got enough. And then a little bit of milk and an egg, because, I mean, it's meatloaf, okay? Got to get that binding in there. So the first thing I'm going to do is take off my rings, de-bling, and I always say to everybody, put them in the right place every single time. Don't guess where it belongs. Always put them in the right place. And I too am going to say this, because I'm not walking away, I'm going to cover my potatoes up. They will boil faster that way. But if you're leaving the room, I would not do that part because it can spill over with all that starch in there. But because I'm right here and I'm watching it, we're going to let it go. So first thing I'm going to get into my meatloaf mixture is about a cup of breadcrumbs. Now I measure with my hand. I'm going to do a cup, that's half, and that's another half. And then I'm going to get, I'll need my salt in a minute, I might as well bring it up here. Then I'm going to get 1 egg, and this is a pretty good size egg. If your eggs are tiny, you can do 2. A couple of these in this pack were so big I was wondering if I'd have a double yolker. I love when that happens. Okay, I'm going to get a tablespoon of Italian seasoning. Again, I measure that right in my hand. You just want some herbiness in your meatloaf, and it just is perfect little blend in that Italian seasoning. I'm going to do a tablespoon of garlic powder. And I hear my onions starting to sizzle back there. I'm gonna look at my potatoes, make sure they don't look like they're about to boil over. Okay, and I'm gonna do some seasoning salt, about a tablespoon of seasoning salt. And seasoning salt has a couple other things in there. There's a little sugar, some paprika, a little bit of garlic and onion in it. Now, I'm gonna do a tablespoon-ish, but heavy on the ish, like, or two, of Worcestershire sauce. This is a preference thing. I like a good bit of Worcestershire, but I go easy on it sometimes because my mom doesn't love it as a standout taste. So, tablespoon to 2 tablespoons, your preference. And then I want to get a little bit of a pinch of regular kosher salt. This is about half a teaspoon I'm going to do right here. That helps get that full salty flavor in there because, like I said, the seasoning salt is a blend of different stuff and you want to make sure you have it all. I need to crack in some black pepper, but if you're measuring, you can do about a teaspoon or so of black pepper already cracked. I always say 10 or 20 cracks for the fresh crack because it is so much more powerful and potent than the already broken up granules of pepper. Now, at this point, I'm going to put in a little bit of milk. I may need a little more. I want to go shy and add more if I need it. So what I'm going to start with is about 1/4 of a cup of milk. And then I'm going to take my fork, make sure my yolk is broken on my egg so he's nice and mixed together. Okay? And then I'm going to pour in some of this ketchup. About 1/3 of this goes in here now, and then the rest will go on top at the end, like you would normal meatloaf. Okay, my onions are sounding good, so I'm going to get my spoon, rinse my finger off. I've got some ketchup on me. Okay, now I'm going to get a little spoon and look at my onions. You don't want to cook them completely through here. You're just starting the cooking process. A few minutes to get them good and translucent is all that you need, because you don't want to be munching down on like a raw onion in your meatloaf. Okay, so we're going to give that another second or so. And in the meantime, I'm going to tell you, oh, I almost forgot my most important shortcut ingredient, onion soup mix. This is a heavy hitter in the flavor department. I put it in my roast beef. Obviously, you can make French onion dip out of this. It goes in my spinach dip, all kinds of stuff. My vegetable beef soup, love this stuff. When I buy it, I buy 4 or 5 at a time. So, it's a good ingredient. Now, what I want to do is get my onions off and into my pan. Like I said, this is 1 onion. If you chopped it, you would do the same thing. Turn my heat off over here. Now, this is a little warm on top, so I'm going to just spread those onions out. And then I am going to make sure it's away from where I cracked that egg so it doesn't scramble my egg. And I'm going to get to mixing. Clean hands, no rings, in we go. Now, when you're mixing meatloaf, it's the same as if you're mixing meatballs. You want to keep the claw shape with your hand. You don't want to mush your mixture together. The goal is mixing here. It's not patties. We're not trying to mush. So we're just kind of gently breaking up the meat with our fingers, getting everybody mixed in together. And this is where you're going to be able to tell, and I always do this, I'm going to push it real hard on my arm. This is where you're going to have to tell if you're going to need more milk or more breadcrumbs. And I usually can gauge based on the size of my egg, how moist my meat seems, but for 80-20, that's pretty moist because that fat is what adds in the flavor and moisture. And then I also usually can tell by whether the panko has absorbed as much as regular breadcrumbs. Your breadcrumbs do make a difference. Okay, so this is actually looking perfect. I want to show you exactly what it looks like. Boop. Nothing needed to be going in there. It's perfect like it is. All right, I'm going to get my pie plates out. Move a few of these things out of the way. I'm so excited. I've loved having this studio kitchen, but I'll let you in on a little secret. Our oldest son is about to get married, and so my studio kitchen, which is our secondary kitchen in our home, is about to become their kitchen. They're renting part of our house, and my husband has been remodeling my kitchen that's my main big kitchen upstairs that we cook in every single day for a long time now, just a little bit at the time. Well, we are in the home stretch. It looks like maybe by mid-September we'll be in the clear, and I'll be filming up there and have a lot more space and counters, and I even have an island to work on. Y'all won't know what to do with a girl that can walk around and dance around in a big old kitchen. Okay, I do need to spray these real quick first. And my oven is on and preheated to 400 degrees. These are going to go in and they're going to start the cooking process, and they're going to go for about 18 minutes or so. I say 15 to 20, but I really like to be as accurate as I can. These being in 2 pie plates are going to go probably a little less than if it was in one big casserole. So I'm going to say probably closer to that middle 18-minute mark. And what these are going to do right now is they're going to go in like normal meatloaf. We're going to have one pan or one layer in the pan. I'm going to top this with some ketchup, and it's going to do its preliminary cook. After the preliminary cook, it's going to come out and get our mashed potatoes, which will be ready by then because we're multitasking and doing the things in the right order. Now, there are a lot of other ways you could shortcut this even further, and I'll tell you, I've done these before. Okay, my water's boiling, so I'm going to just pop this off. Good thing I'm standing here. Like I said, it didn't look like it was going to go over. And I'm going to turn my heat just to medium so it doesn't pop up too much. Okay, I'm getting this flat in here. So another way to shortcut this even more is if you wanted to do it in muffin tins. And I do meatloaf in muffin tins often. Or sometimes I do it in just little football shapes. But because we're layering a mashed potato layer on top, muffin tins would be a really awesome win for this. And everybody would just get 1 or 2 individual ones and be in business. Okay, I'm going to wash up and then we're going to get these in the oven. Okay, let me get these in. My oven is nice and hot. Now, if you wanted to take your time doing this and say you were doing a whole nother meal, it doesn't hurt anything to do these on 350, 375. They'll just take about 30 minutes. But because I want to hurry this along and this is the whole thing, what it'll take to get the potatoes done is as long as I get to cook. So 400 degrees it is. Now we're going to finish our boiling of our potatoes, and when we get back, I'll show you how to make the loaded mashed potatoes that are going to go on top. I forgot to show you the ketchup layer, so here we go. It's going to go on top of this and on top of this. And easy peasy, we're just going to cover it. And then we're going to get them right back in the oven like this never happened. Good thing I remembered quickly. Okay, we're going to get the back of a spoon, spread that out. If this ever happens to you, you can totally do this right before the mashed potato layer goes on. It'll just be a little bit more sticky, and you'll need to make sure your potatoes don't get moved around as much or they'll turn pink. All right, now we're going to go in the oven. See you in a few. Okay, y'all, we're back and ready to talk loaded mashed potatoes. So I'm going to go ahead and drain my potatoes. They are fork tender. And while they're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and get some bacon started in this pan. First thing I need to tell you is bacon makes everything better. We already know that. There is a shorter cut way to do this too. If you want to, you can pick up some bacon bits, the real kind of bacon bits in your salad aisle, and you can use a little bit of those. But I'm going to use about 4 slices of bacon, and we're going to just cut this, and we're going to kind of cut it just in little strips. I'm going to leave it pretty big because once it's crispy, then I'm going to chop it and top my loaded mashed potatoes with it. So I'm just going to kind of cut it in a couple of bigger pieces. We're going to break this down further later, like I said, and just chop it. So as long as it's no pieces that are small enough for you to navigate in this little pan. And I love scissors for this because unless my bacon is partially frozen, it's going to be really hard to cut through with my knife. Now my sharp knife that I always talk about, it'll go through it, but it's easiest pie to do it with scissors, so why not? All right, I'm gonna rinse my fingers, and then we're gonna get us a little spoon and move that around in the pan. Now, my bacon is gonna just get nice and crispy, and it's gonna be the perfect final topping for this shepherd's pie. And while my potatoes were cooking, my yummy, yummy meatloaf has been smelling up this kitchen, and I'm not going to lie to you. I almost might not be able to just wait until the mashed potatoes done. But I will, because you're here with me and I don't want to rush it. So, okay, now we're going to get our potatoes drained. My strainer is already over here in my sink. And I'm going to strain my potatoes and get them straight back into the hot pot. Because I have a stainless steel pot, this works perfectly for my mashed potatoes to completely get made in here, because number one, the heat from the pot is going to encourage the potatoes to stay warmer. It's going to go ahead and start melting my butter and warming my milk because the pot is already hot. And I don't have to clean an additional piece of dishes later. So, win-win for everybody. I'm just touching my handles to make sure they're cool enough for me to touch. You'd be surprised what I could touch, but from all the years of doing dishes in really, really, really hot heat. But some things I just can't, so we're always careful. Now, I'm going to grab my little trivet so I can show you exactly what I'm going to do to these potatoes. They'll have to go back to the counter to get mixed, but the rest of it can happen in front of you. Okay, so let's get my potatoes out and back into my hot pot. Like I said, this is going to continue to keep them warm. And at the same time, I don't have to dirty another dish. Okay, now to this. I'm going to need some butter, obviously. So I'm going to get my butter over here, and we're going to get those on really quick while my potatoes are steamy and hot. I'm going to move this down so you can see what I'm doing better. Okay, here we go. Butter's going in. Get my knife. And this is going to be about 4 tablespoons of butter, but we're going to be adding some other richness in here too, as well. Now, a secret ingredient that I love to put in this that you could totally leave out if you wanted to, but I would double up the salt because potatoes need a lot of salt. I like to put some chicken base in. And this is just going to add some savory to the pot. So I'm going to put it just like right there on top of the butter. So whenever I go for that butter with my mixer, it'll get mixed in really well. Okay, then I'm going to put in a little bit of shredded cheddar. This is triple cheddar. You can use whatever you have on hand. I love sharp cheddar. I'm probably going to have to get some scissors or a knife for this. I'll use my knife. My hands are a little bit wet, so I don't want to fight with this all day. There we go. So maybe that'll help me now. If I could even get it, I'm going to have to open it with a towel. We will open this cheese. All right, I'm washing the scissors. That's it. All right. Here we go. We're getting the cheese open now. I will win the victory on the day. I always do. I'm the queen of this castle. That's what I tell myself anyway. Okay, so we're going to go in with a cup of cheese. You can grate this yourself, but we're doing shortcut suppers, so we're going to put a little more cheese on top of our mashed potato later in just a minute. And then I'm going to go in with about a half a cup of really full-fat sour cream. And I can eyeball this, but you can use a measuring cup if you want to. We're going to get some garlic powder to the tune of about a tablespoon. Lost my spoon in there. And then I'm going to also get some seasoning salt in here as well. Now our seasoning salt's done double duty today, and I love double duty ingredients, especially doing shortcut suppers. So a tablespoon of seasoning salt. And keep this on hand because you may need a little bit more at the end. Okay, brush. All right. Now I'm going to chop some green onions. And these are just regular green onions that you get from the grocery store, and I'm not going to use the whites. I'm going to use the light green and the green, and I'm going to keep these whites for later. Those are awesome in stock, but you could also plant those at that point. Let me get all this over here. I'm excited about these potatoes almost as much as I am this meatloaf. My big boys, I'll tell you, when they know meatloaf's in the oven, they are excited. The girls love meatloaf too, don't get me wrong, but those boys, man, they have noses that know what Mama's making a lot of the time, and they know about that meatloaf. Okay, so in with my green onions. This all in all is about a half a cup of green onions that's going in. 3 or 4 good sized ones. Now, I told you I was going to show you a trick. The trick is my hand mixer. So I'm going to get about half a cup of milk in here, and then we're going to head to the hand mixer to get this all mixed up together. So, half a cup of milk, and I may need a little bit more later, so I'm also going to leave this out. Move my bacon around just a little bit. Oh, it's looking so yummy. Starting to crisp up. Whenever you make bacon, don't get rid of this bacon grease. That bacon grease is loved, okay? And before I mix, I'm going to go ahead and get my meatloaves out because they're ready to get their topping in a second. Oh my gosh, y'all. So yummy. One. Just scoot you on over, buddy. And get you two. Two. All right, now y'all just sit there and hold tight. Little attention to this bacon, flip it over. Want both sides to get good and crispy. And now, we are ready to mix these potatoes together. I have to make myself a landing zone over here. And I'm going to move you so you get to go with me. So let's go. Turn you this way just a little bit. Okay, so let's get my mixer ready. Now, there is a story behind this hand mixer. I've had this hand mixer now 22 years. This is the original hand mixer that I got as a wedding gift from my husband's Aunt Betty, great Aunt Betty, when we first got married. And I'm telling you, she was our next door neighbor when we got married on one side. His Aunt Karen and Uncle Danny were our next door neighbor on the other side. And we got visits all the time from sweet Aunt Betty. And when I'm telling you, Aunt Betty is coming over, here's the warning. Y'all there? It's the beauty of living with your family in a very small town. There's no announcing when company's coming. They're just there. And it's fine, as long as you're dressed. Which I guess we usually were. But, okay, so I'm going to use my hand mixer. And you're going to see, even with the peeling, how easily this comes together. Come on in a little further. This is the beauty of cooking at home. Now, let's make some potatoes. I'm going to move this off the heat because those look really good. Turn my heat off. We'll get to that bacon in a minute. Let's potato love. Turn you this way. You always want to start on low. Trust me. Then once you started getting a little bit of action and some mashing done, then you can turn your heat up on your speed. Y'all, this looks so yummy. Full throttle now. It doesn't look like we're going to have to add anything. See? We're almost there already. Now, I often don't say always is and nevers in the kitchen especially, but I will say I always or never, I always salt my cooking water, and I never put my mashed potatoes in a blender. That's a no-no. But you can use a stand mixer if you don't have a hand mixer like me. All right, let's look at these bad boys. I'm going to have to save those beaters for our little ones. But look. And that was so easy. We didn't peel those potatoes or anything. All right, I'm going to move you back over there and we'll get these assembled. Okay, y'all, we're back and my meatloaves are out of the oven and I'm ready to show you how this all comes together. So I'm going to get my mashed potatoes over here that are just loaded with flavor. I'm talking loaded mashed potato flavor in these mashed potatoes. These are delicious all by themselves. I'm going to put some on each of these shepherd's pie bases, or my meatloaf bases that are about to become shepherd's pie. If you want to, you can easily use like an ice cream scoop and just click out a few little scoops all over to make it easy to spread, but you know me, I'm not going to get extra tools out if you've watched me for long. I'm just not a tool girl. I do everything as simple as I can. Okay, and sometimes simple does mean getting an extra tool out. I have learned that, like my mixer. Okay, so even Steven on there, I may have a little left over, which is no problem in my house. And I'm just going to cover my entire meatloaf top with my mixture. And this is a delicious topping. Like, it is a standout all in itself. Okay. Now, like I said, a little bit left over. Now, what's great is going to become greater because we're going to top it with a little bit of cheese, kind of to echo what's already in here. You know, when you do twice baked potatoes, you see that little cheese on top bubbling. And remember, my oven's still at 400 degrees, so these are going to just go in long enough for this cheese to get melty, about 4 or 5 minutes, and it will be ready to go. And then the last piece of the puzzle, I've got my bacon here, and I'm just going to chop it up a little bit more. I've got it on a paper towel to get some of the extra fat off. This is slightly under crisp for me, but it's going to go on top of this and go back in the oven, so it's going to continue the crisping process. Y'all, it's a good thing I'm in the kitchen by myself, because this bacon would not make it to top the shepherd's pie if there were people walking by. I'd have to holler, watch yourself, watch yourself. Okay, bacon going on top of here. And I mean, this isn't a have to, but it's a why not. Why not butter? Why not bacon? That's my philosophy. Okay, back in the oven these go for about 4 to 5 minutes until the top is nice and bubbly. I cannot wait. See you in a second. Hey y'all, and welcome back to the kitchen. We're about ready to pull out our shepherd's pie meatloaf concoction that has my whole house smelling amazing. But right before we do, I just want to tell you, in the description below, I'm going to link a lot of different kind of things. I'm going to link just straight to Mama Whitten's kitchen, where you can follow along my cooking school. You can get a membership for Mama Whitten's kitchen, and for just $67 a month, you can have live classes every single week with me, in addition to over 60 of my lessons, and a new lesson gets added every single week. So go down there, grab that link, and join me in Mama Whitten's kitchen, where I can teach you one-on-one live. That's perfect for busy mamas, and I also have a good herd of wonderful students in middle and high school that I teach every single Friday. Some of them are actually using it as an elective for homeschool curriculum, so it's perfect for that. If you want to join Mama Whitten's kitchen, link's down there below. I'm also going to send the link, put the link down there for the muffin tin that I recommend that you use. It's a green light muffin tin if you want to shortcut this a little bit better. That way you can know exactly how I would do it if I wanted to do it the very shortest shortcut way. Okay, so enough said. I'll link everything you need in the description. Let's look at these shepherd's pie meatloaves. Oh my gosh. And that bacon on top did another little crisp, so it smells amazing. Oh, y'all, put one up here for you to look at, and I can keep the other one back there. One of these is us. We're about to eat it for lunch, and one of those is about to get delivered across to the neighbors. So I'm going to garnish this one right here, and it's going to be our lunch after it cools just a little bit. But I want to show you how yummy it looks. So I'm going to give you an up close, and then I'll link a picture at the end. Isn't that delicious? Y'all try this one out. Your whole family is going to love it, just like ours. When I get a crowd pleaser like this, you better know it's going to be finding its way right to you. Happy cooking, y'all, and I'll see you next time.
Wait, it's today Wednesday.
Now this is cooled for just a second, so I want to show you how to serve. Just cut right here, cut right there. And isn't that beautiful? Meatloaf shepherd's pie. That's happy cooking, y'all. See you next time. Yum, yum.